Hey everyone. I hope you guys have had a great couple of weeks learning from home and that you guys are ready to learn our next lesson. This week, we're going to be talking about analyzing character interactions and changes. And to do this, we're going to use all of these characters that we've learned about and that we've read about in the book Wonder. So, characters change as the story progresses. This just means that throughout the story, characters change and evolve in several ways. So, what are those ways? The first way is a physical change. A physical change is a change in the way a character looks. So, an example of a physical change in our book would be how Via explains to us or describes to us that Miranda dyed her hair pink over summer vacation. Miranda dyes her hair pink. That is a change in the way that she looks. The next type of change is an attitude change. And an attitude changes are changes in the way a character thinks or feels. So if we try to think about an example of an attitude change in Wonder, I would say that an example would be Via thinks that the family should stop babying Augie and let him, make him, help him grow up. And you see how I use quotes right there? That just tells you that I took these words straight from the book. And anytime you use direct quotes from the book, you take word for word sentences or words, you need to use your quotation marks. The next type of change is a behavioral change. And behavioral changes are changes in the way a character acts. So, if we try to figure out an example of a behavioral change in our book, we could come up with how Summer does not sit at the table with her friends anymore for lunchtime because she did not like that they were talking about Augie. The most important thing that I want you guys to learn today is that characters change based on their interactions with other characters. So that means that Augie will be changed based on his interactions with other characters throughout the book. So what one character does or how one character treats another, that that affects how that character changes. That drives the change in that character. So this is the graphic organizer that we are going to use to track character changes for Augie, Jack Will, and Via. And if you look, I have over here in red, how does the character interact with others? That's just because, like I said, the most important part of talking about character changes is really talking about how one character affects the other, how one character or how different characters help change the one that we're talking about. All right. So I have zoomed in to our section of the graphic organizer that pertains to Augie so that we can see it a little bit better. And I've also given you the question that we're going to be working towards. So the question that we're going to answer at the end of this is I wanted a hole that I could crawl inside of, a little black hole that would eat me up. What can the reader conclude about Augie from these sentences? F, he is no longer interested in celebrating Halloween. G, he is angry with Jack Will. H, he doesn't want to live anymore. Or J, he is no longer scared to be seen at school. All right, so in the beginning, the character is at the beginning of the chapter, Augie was excited about Halloween. So, how do we know that he's excited about Halloween? What does the character say? He says, walking through the halls that morning on my way to the lockers was, I have to say, absolutely awesome. So, what does the character think, or how does the character think or act? Something that he was thinking was, I was starting to think this was going to go down as one of the most awesome days in the history of my life. And here we go. How does the character interact with others? So, what did the other characters do to change Augie from the beginning of the chapter to the end of the chapter. And that was Augie overhears Jack saying mean things about him to Julian and the other boys in the class. Augie does not say anything and leaves the class. Okay, so how does the character change? Augie is hurt. He is no longer excited about Halloween, except, please excuse my typo. And how do I know that they have changed? Well, all that is asking is for our text evidence. So I know that he's no longer excited about Halloween, but how can I prove it? How do I know this? And that is because he says, and I started crying. The tears the tears were so thick in my eyes I could barely see. I wanted a hole I could crawl inside of, a little black hole that would eat me up. So there is our question. There is the quote in our question. And so if I'm going to answer this question, I'm going to read it and I'm going to look at my answer choices. So what can the reader conclude about Aki from these sentences? F, he is no longer interested in celebrating Halloween. Okay, maybe that one might be it. So I'll leave that one there. He is angry with Jack Will. Well, he might be angry with Jack Will, but that doesn't really tell me that he's angry with Jack Will. So I will take that one out. H, he doesn't want to live anymore. He says he wants to crawl into a big black hole. He wants a big black hole to eat him up. Okay, that might be it. And then J, he is no longer scared to be seen at school. And I know that that one's not it. And if I talk about him wanting to have a hole to crawl inside of, that just really tells me that he's not really excited about Halloween anymore. So the answer is H. All right. So now we have Jack Will. And Jack Will, at the beginning of the chapter, or before the incident, Jack Will is August's best friend and defends him against Julian. So how do we know this? What did he say in the previous chapter when the kids were taking their tour? He said, "Geez, Julian, just shut up. Come on, August. Let's just go to the library already." So how does the character think or act? Well, some of the things that were said, or some of the ways that he acted, was when August was describing to us that this time the two of us were laughing so much we couldn't stop, even after Mr. LaRoche came over and made us both switch chairs with the kids next to us. So this just means that the way he acts is he's playing around with Augie, they're laughing in class, they're having a good time. So that's how he acts around August prior to the incident on Halloween. So now let's talk about how he interacts with others. What happened? So Julian brings a mask of Darth Sidious to school to make fun of Augie. He and the other boys are talking about Augie. And then Jack Will joins in, correct? So how does the character change? Well, Jack no longer avoids peer pressure and he joins in on talking about Augie when he thinks Augie is not around. So how have things changed? How do I know that things have changed? Because he said, "I've thought about this a lot," said the second mummy, sounding seriously. "And I really think if I looked like him, seriously, I think I'd kill myself." So that right there tells us that he's not as good as a friend. He's not Augie's best friend anymore, because a best friend defends you. And he really didn't defend Augie there. So let's put this into a question. Which sentence from the story best shows that Jack Will is not as good of a friend as Julian, as a friend to Augie as he was in the beginning? And in the first one, he says, "I can't imagine looking in the mirror every day and seeing myself like that. It would be too awful. And getting stared at all the time." I think I would eliminate that answer because he's not really saying anything mean. He's just really talking about his feelings. He's just saying, I wouldn't be able to look in the mirror every day and see myself like that, and that he would feel uncomfortable being stared at all the time. So I'm going to take that answer away. Then the next one, geez, Julian, just shut up. That doesn't tell me that he's not a good friend, as good of a friend to Augie. H, if I looked like him, seriously, I think I'd kill myself. That might be the answer because I don't talk about my good friends like that. And then I can't imagine looking into the mirror every day and seeing myself like that. Oh, we already used that answer. So, nope. H is the correct one. All right. So, you guys are going to use VIA as your you do. So, I will put the chapter on VIA on Class Dojo for you guys to have access to so that you can tell me how she changes from the beginning to the end. And we're going to talk about how she changes in her relationship with her friends. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. If you guys have any questions, you can message me on Class Dojo. Thank you.